Demand generation is lead generation. Welcome to the room where you always learn something new. I feel like every time this room opens, you're just about to experience a whole new world of information that you probably never have thought about or tried to even process. So, this is something that I believe you can start doing for yourself by just listening to these episodes. Anytime you hear me talk like this, and this is the first time I'm saying this, anytime you hear me talk about the topic, please go listen to the previous topics before this one, especially if you're looking at topics that you're interested in, so that you can also be part of it too. So you have to think about your goals. And I was thinking, what better way to start off a week than by talking about this live on Clubhouse, where you learn so much and you listen so much that you gain so much at the same time. And I'm excited that you're going to learn something new today. So if you hear me talk and you can't hear me well, please just bear with me because it's been a long weekend. Shout out to Ebony Fit Weekend. It's been an amazing Ebony Fit weekend. It's been dope. You know, one of the greatest connections where you can meet with people and work out, have great interactions, build and just learn from each other and learn how to get fit, how to get better, because health is wealth. You know, if you're not fit, how are you going to be doing things the way you want to do it? So this is where we have to think about the goals, the strategies, and the desires. How do we turn these things into creativity pieces that your business can also see and say, yeah, we can actually do something like this on a larger scale, but also thinking about what we got to do from a small scale. So that's why I have so much depth in getting involved to get you through to understand and create connections. And that's why I wanted to talk about this today. So I'm excited about this room and I can't wait to connect with you because we got to talk about this. This is a big, big topic, and I'm excited that we're here today. Hey, Michael, Shay, John, Brian, Elijah. Michael, I reach out to you for being here. Appreciate you for joining the room today. Mudab as well. Everybody's coming in. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to have a good hour today and really talk about this thing called demand generation. If you've never heard of it before, it's a real thing, but we don't really talk about it because everyone talks about leads. Yay, leads are great, but what's greater, demand or leads? So we're going to talk about that today and we're going to dive deep as well. So thank you for joining and being here with us as well. Hey, John. Hey, Brian. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. All's good in my world. How about you, Brian?
Brian is probably having a sticky mic. It might be. It happens on the app. But I'm glad that you're here today, Brian. Hopefully you can speak when you're available. Mo Dub, how are you?
What's up, brother? Hey, man. This is another perfect topic, man, because a lot of people underestimate the value of demand generation, man. They think about these, just like you said, but if you don't push that demand, you're gonna get way less leads. So I'm with it.
I love it. I love it. Super excited about this. Yeah, let's talk about this today. I feel like this is going to be a topic we just all. I want us to talk about this because when you hear demand and leads, it's a lot of things that are involved. So I'm excited about bringing this and just understanding the differences between them too. So feel free to put in the chat or join us on stage and learn how this is going to work for you for your business and how you're also going to take this to the next level. So demand generation is as close to lead generation, but it's also as far from demand generation. Because demand generation is where you are actually creating the demand. You know, when we think about the economies of scale, demand, supply, you now use your website as the equilibrium in between the two to balance that demand and supply. So if people are demanding for information through the query box on your Google Search Console, let's say you have 1,000 queries on your Google Search Console, it means that you could have 1,000 website links for your website. That's because you've created demand. So demand is achieved through an action that was taken, but it's not been translated into a close or a final step until the demand has been satisfied. So if I'm demanding to buy this book, or if there's a demand for oranges, then that's when you think about the supply and how much it costs and how to have a variable of the cost. So everybody's looking for leads, everybody's running up and down for this thing. And it's very interesting to see how when you connect with people, it's how you talk with them. I had a call just not too long ago with somebody, and we're doing some SEO, and it's a church specifically, and we were trying to make sure like we can stay. It's about 20, about I think it's 5,000 square feet, and trying to see how we can give more to them because they're doing really well, and I also want them to expand because everybody's living on YouTube and Facebook, not realizing that they have a whole life on a podcast that could actually evergreen, their way through success. I was, speaking with a client earlier. He didn't even know he was in the top 10% because he didn't check it on his end because he's always looking out for good podcast platforms. But I introduced him to Pod SEO and I showed him where his ranking is, and he's the top 10%. And he has over 200 episodes. He's been doing this for years, since 2021. So someone that is doing that consistently, sometimes it takes a while because you think about 52 weeks. If you're doing one episode a week, that's 52 weeks times the number of years that you do it depends on how you want to do it. That's highly dependent on you. So like for him, he's been doing consistently for 4 years. So he's not in a rush. He's just doing it every week on Monday. It's out there. So looking at those things allows you to now say, okay, what do people really want? Today we figured out that people are actually looking for topics that he can actually supply because these are keywords that people are demanding for. So when you have a demand and you don't supply that demand, you lose the credibility of the person that actually is demanding for that information. It's like saying, hey, I want this, I want this, I want this. And then the day you want to give it to them is when they don't want it because you didn't give it to them when they demanded for it. So when you're demanding for something and it's in the last 24 hours and I need this, then that's something that's going to require this because 5 minutes could be a difference between life and death online. And it's 11:11 a.m. Central. You think about your timelines and where you're creating evergreen content from, it starts from the root directory. Everything starts from the root. Your website starts from the root directory. A plant starts from the root of from the ground. Your body has a root, right? We have a body, we have a soul, we have a spirit. Like there's a root. So why are we looking for fruits when we don't have the root? So the root is build the demand for oranges, build the demand for pomegranates, build the demand for pineapples by creating those places online that are demanding for those spaces. So when you search on the web and you don't see a result that you like, create something that you can actually listen to or learn from. And then more people will now tend to listen to that because that's what they're looking for. Not everyone's interested in demand generation or lead generation. Some people may just listen to it and just say, okay, that was a great conversation. Some people may say, oh, I didn't know that. Some people will say, okay, I didn't know that. Now, what do I do? Some people will say, oh, I didn't know that. What do I do? Now I found what to do, and then I'm actually doing it and getting it done. So there are different levels of how people are going to get this demand done because I can demand for something and not give it to you. And that is entirely on you. But if you're demanding for something, you're actually supplying it, then that's where you start seeing a lot of increase in sales, decrease in sales. There's an MRR, right? Monthly recurring revenue. How do you create that consistently through demand? Because when you're demanding for something, you have something of in exchange. Because if there's an exchange value of this demand, hey, I have dollars, I'm looking for pounds, or I'm looking for euros, and I'm trying to get yen, whatever the currency is, your goal is to connect to the person who is actually asking for this. And then when you demand for something and you get a response back, then that increases your ability to grow. Just over the weekend, my podcast has now crossed to 125 countries. We're now in a country called Macau. Never been there before. I had to Google it to like, where is this country? There's some countries I've never heard, like Solomon's Island. That's a country. There are countries I don't know that I see on my links, and I'm like, huh, I've never been to these countries before. I didn't even know that these countries exist. Yet they are countries that are actually in our world. So when you're connecting with people, your goal is to supply and give that demand back by giving them something of value. Because if I'm demanding for ChatGPT prompts and I give you ChatGPT prompts and I give you 100 of them, yeah, the demand was I need these prompts, but from these prompts, how do you take these prompts and move them into an actual image that's going to create it? For example, look at my profile picture, right? It's been going around for a while now. You can use ChatGPT and prompt it to get your Studio Ghibli image. And that's what I did. And it's been coming out really well. And I'm planning to move this from not just having a static image, I want to move this to Adobe Express, where I can actually turn my picture to an animation that I could use within a voiceover. So, how do you take what you have and then create a demand for it? Sometimes people just didn't even know we existed. Uber, who didn't know Uber or Lyft? I do more of Lyft than Uber because I've been on Lyft since 2017. And Uber is great, but Lyft is better because you have Delta miles, Sky miles, you have a lot of benefits. So when you look at brand integrations, how you move, what you do, how you do things, all these things are playing in together. So it just creates that demand over the supply that you're actually having. Welcome, Renee. You said, been to Macau. Oh, I'm so jealous. I went to China from Hong Kong. We'd love to hear that experience because podcasting is one place that I can really say this. If it wasn't for podcasting, I don't know how life would be today, to be really candid with you, because I don't know how connections would have been made if connections like this were not created. And the demand to create these connections comes from the intention. Hey, sign up. Hey, download. Hey, do this. Hey, Carrie. Like you have to be very specific on how you build the intention. And then that way you're like, okay, now we can relate. Now we have something to talk about. If I speak in your language and I say something, you'll be so inclined to like, wow, okay, how do you say hello in these languages? I might do that one day. How do you say the language in all these 100 countries, 125 countries? How do you say hello? That might be a really nice thing to do. You never know. You might see that episode, you might not. I don't know. But if it does, then great. But the goal is not to give, like, they're not demanding for that. But if you create the demand and you're like, oh, people want to know, how do you say love? How do you say water? How do you say bye? People start asking those questions because you've triggered a question, you've triggered an emotion, you've triggered a thought. And that's where it starts off, by really creating that demand. So we're going to dive deep into this generation thing because it's being talked about, but it's not being really spread correctly. And just to even give you some context, why this room is even existing or even happening is because demand generation is on my radar on the podcast because people are wanting to know more about this. And I even went on Google because I actually did a search. Anytime I'm on Clubhouse, on a podcast, I'm not just running an episode or I'm running a show or just talking for its sake. I'm actually doing the research because I know someone's going to respond. And those responses come in really fast. Hey, Julie, they come in really fast and it just happens. Like last week, there's a company, I think called Canvas Rebel, and they've partnered with another company, and I got an email from them that they've sent me a link so I can fill in some interview questions because they want to feature me in an article after listening to a podcast episode. So I'm just looking and I'm like, wow, you don't see the direct impact of the podcast, but the indirect impact is crazy. And I know a lot of people here, we have heavy hitters in the room. You can definitely hear from them too that the immense PR and credibility and also sustainability, which is very important as a business, is where you can really tap into that. So I'd like to toss the mic up because a lot of us, John, Brian, Mo, Carrie, Julie, would like to chime in. How do you see podcasting and how do you see that demand for your business? And welcome, Michael.
First of all, I'm a little jealous because I feel like I'm late to the party. It's like the
You're
dream.
always late.
I've been late
You're
four times.
always
I've
late.
been late four
I
times.
say that in a fun way.
Yeah, no. But I was like, what the heck? I didn't know you were doing a room. and then I see all the best people here. And I don't know what you're talking about, Canvas Rebel, but Canvas Rebel does have a great domain authority. So if you haven't done an article with them, make sure you do an article on Canvas Rebel. Okay. Sorry, I'm late to the party again. My fifth time I've been late. So talk to you soon.
The stars are aligning here today, Favor. Look at it. Look at this.
Wow. It's just, I mean, I don't know how to explain this. For me, the way I move these days, I don't know. That's why it's a pop up room, because if I feel like there's a need for this, then it will just happen naturally. And look at what just happened. This is organic. I didn't text anybody. All I did was put the link at the top and send the link to my Instagram broadcast. And that was it. And here we are. So I feel like who's meant to be here will be here. And it's not like it's attractive marketing for me. I don't force things, I don't push people. I just want to make sure you get what you're getting for the reason why you're getting it in that regard. So I'm glad we're here and we're gonna dive deep into this for sure. Brian, what's
Boom.
up?
Boom, 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 boom. What's up? My microphone's finally working. So yeah, podcasting and marketing is necessary. So if you have a business, podcasting is a great channel to be on, especially if you're doing marketing or some other kind of business that's global. Would be great. Like e-commerce, podcasting is a great platform to spread the word out. But it's not an easy task. Podcasting is not easy, even though I've done it for 19 plus years and I'm still doing it on another podcast. And I help people do podcasts. It's not an easy thing. There's a lot of sweat equity that goes into it, but the dividends that it pays off is absolutely amazing. Not only do you get, paid if you do your podcast correctly, but you also get paid in a way that you make new friends, you gain wisdom, you have a lot of experience, you enhance your life, you find out new areas in the world that you've never visited before that you want to visit. So podcasting pays off in so many ways, and it's far more. You get far more out of it than spending money. Just that hard work and that growing and that sweat equity really, really, really pays off. I can't explain it because it's such a huge topic to talk about. What is the success for a business when you podcast? There's so much to it.
There totally is. And I feel like when you know your numbers, you can actually have a confident conversation with people who are requesting or needing help in something, because you want to see the same numbers populate. It may take a while, but it's worth the while, like you said, with dividends. I think podcasting, honestly, if I put in a financial bracket, I would call podcasting index funding, honestly, because the more episodes you index into the search web, the more platforms like Apple, Amazon, think about dividends from all these platforms: Amazon, Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Pandora, like SiriusXM, Alexa, like it just gets wider and wider and wider. So if you're getting 2% from here, 5% from here, 13% from here, because you have a podcast and a feed, not demand now allows people to say, hey, click here to get my free checklist. And then that checklist becomes a lead. The lead is what you're looking for, but the demand had to be generated first to create the lead. So I love that you talked about that too, Brian. And also we have Michael and Elijah here. Hey, Carrie.
Okay, I got to share a story because it's a good one. So I would say podcasting is marketing. That's how you can like write off the expense of it. But this morning I woke up to, so I had a grandmother who was a client of mine write me who had an Instagram page where she profiled different and featured different influencers. It's called Quick List. It's still around. Anyway, she said, Carrie, I really want you to see if you can get this woman, Christine Handy. She's unbelievable. She's this crusader against cancer. She didn't even have a movie. This was 5 years ago when I got her. And I got her. We ended up becoming friends from that one interview. And she ended up, after 8 years, making a movie about the story of her life. Last night, she won the Hollywood Film Festival, which was unheard of. It's less than 1% that you can even do this, get accepted into the Hollywood Film Festival. And Nicole Eggart, who is a star of Baywatch and Charles in Charge, shared the photograph I took of her with Christine at the premiere. And if anyone knows me, I think I'm friends with all these people on television since I was a child. But that is the direct result of having a podcast, which I think is so cool.
Wow, Carrie. What? That's
Boo boo.
great. You know, there you go. You know, like, in fact, let's make that a reality right now. In three, two, one. That's dope, Carrie. And then you see the indirect impact of a podcast is much greater than the direct impact of a podcast. That's how I see it. Because I have a long way to go. I'm only 6 years in podcasting, but 2 decades in music and entertainment business. So I can see it from a musical spectrum and from a podcast spectrum. When I look at codes, metadata, podcast show notes and lyrics, I can see it from two ends. And I'm like, this is intense. So there's ways you can do these things and really create that intention. And I love that you mentioned that too, Carrie. This is great, great conversation.
Oh, and by the way, the whole entire cast and crew has my book, and they're reading it, and including the director. And so it's like I have a built-in crew to produce the movie about my life.
Wow. Look at that. Look at that. Like your podcast could even turn into a documentary. It could turn into a movie. You just take the transcripts, take the best parts, chapters, plot twists, characters. You can do so much with podcasting. It's like watching movies, but without the video on. It's really nice, especially if you had dynamics, music, and all the good stuff into it. So, Carrie, congratulations to you. Great, great, great topic. And I love that it's a Monday, that we're actually getting this wins early in the week. That means it's going to be a greater week even as we get started, because what you speak into the life of your day is what becomes part of your day. So I'm excited about today too. And I'm not feeling too well either. So I'm doing this really hoping that you can hear my voice. It's not the best, but I said I'll definitely do this because it's been a long weekend and it's just been a lot. But I'm really excited that we're really here together to help each other grow. Because if you know these things, then you know better and you could do better as well. So thank you, Carrie, for that. Michael and Elijah here. I want to start off with you, Michael. So because you came in first, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for being here. Excited about your brand, and I love what you're doing for the community. Passing it on to you.
Thank you so much, Favor. Favor, how you doing,
I'm
sir?
good, good. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday to everybody, and hello to everybody in the space. I'm not a podcaster yet, but I can see how my business will probably put me in that position. So I'm a student today, listening and learning. And thank you so much for mentioning my brand. I just got approved with Sheen. As a matter of fact, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I had an email from Sheen approving my onboarding process for one of my products, and I'm extremely excited about that today. So, and I look forward to working with you in the future with my company. So I really appreciate being here, just listening and learning today.
Thank you so much, Michael. Wow. What? Look at that. We're just winning on a Monday. I feel like this should be the new
Boom.
normal. You know what I'm saying? A big boom, like for sure. Yes, this is what we're talking about. I love this. Congratulations. Sheen is big. And like we were talking about it in Breakfast with Champions earlier today, and I mentioned, products and names. So now when you have Sheen, Sheen is a product that people know. So now when you associate Sheen with your website, it's like think about a Venn diagram. On the left side is Sheen, on the right side is you, in the middle is both of you. And what you create is what creates other things that flow. And that's where demand flows. So I love that you mentioned that, Michael. Congratulations. Elijah, we'd love to hear from you too. Happy Monday.
Yeah, good morning, all. This is my second time joining in on the room. Not sure why that ticket didn't cash out. Because the topic of conversation, just the room title, is what gravitated me here the first time, and the second time too now as well. And I mean, just to give you guys a small idea about myself. I'm CTO for a company that manages AI infrastructure for CRMs. So, in short, like if you have a CRM, they want to enhance it with voice, content generation, chat, things like that. And demand generation in combination with a tool like a podcast, where um, having a standard operating procedures, not just for your clients, but your team, so people can execute, do things on their own, become familiar with your services, is a great way to, on demand, be able to provide information. But a lot of time people have a hard time absorbing or going through documentation, watching instructional videos, and a tool like Notebook LM will allow you to take, let's say, the context of 3 or 4 SOPs and turn it into a podcast where two people are conversationally now talking about a technical topic, something that is difficult to just sit and go through, but now you could have a little 10, 15-minute podcast that you share with the client to immediately help them adapt to the information that you have to share with them on a technical level. So that demand generation in combination with being able to share something conversationally where it hits someone's ears based on how they understand. Um, the two are really powerful together on that level of just like automation with the tools that we have available today. But if you're doing those things authentically, where over time, like you're talking about that 52 weeks of authentic content, talking directly to your community, collaborating with other people, um, those are the things actually we're working towards right now. And doing it in the way that we have previously in an automated fashion and seeing that impact, I'm already knowing um, how much more impactful it would be just to, have that direct human interaction, build a community, create a culture with those things.
Thank you, Elijah. Wow. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, and this is what marketing has become, right? This is exactly what marketing has become. Podcasting is like the epitome of what marketing has become. It's no longer like ads, it's no longer being salesy, it's no longer email marketing, spam email, sales email, funnels. All that old school marketing is gone. So, podcast marketing is all about, Elijah just hit the nail on the head. It's all about community building, relationship building. Because when you have a podcast and you have a community of people that's listening, you have an attentive audience, a very high intent attentive audience that is listening to you, that trusts you, knows you, likes you. And that is the formula for a successful business. And that's how marketing should be done. And podcasting allows that to happen. And Elijah's like spot on with that.
I love that. Yeah, Elijah, thank you for joining and being here. It's definitely exciting to always have new voices and connect with people on the app because this is a global space where 351.2K members in this club. And a lot of people listen in and go back to episodes. So I know 2, 3 years from now, people are still listening to episodes that were recorded a while back. I've listened to episodes as far back as 2010. Yeah, you could go even further than that, but they are very highly intellectual episodes that people actually drop knowledge. Yes, warrior. They drop knowledge, and you listen, you're like, wow. It's like reading a book. Like it's like reading going to the library and reading a book. It's no different from, in fact, the books are even older than the podcast, but we still read books in the library, so why can't we listen to podcasts and still do the same thing? So it definitely makes a lot of sense, and creating that intention is super important. You mentioned something, Elijah, and I want to just, I think I don't want that to go over people's heads because that's something I want to see if you can experience this on your own, if you try it out, because it's really good, especially when it comes to AI powered conversation. So I'm changing the link at the top. I call this behind the episode. I did an episode, this was back February 3rd. I did this episode with a guest, a really good friend of mine. I've known her for 5 years now, actually 6 years now. It's 2019. And her name is Lola, and she does concierge. like for travel, luxury experiences, and it's a whole different thing. Like concierge services, that's a whole different ball game. And she talked about it. We actually had an episode, and then I took it to Notebook LM, like Elijah said, and I went to Notebook LM. It now tells you you can do FAQs, you can do timelines, you can literally upload a YouTube video link and to transcribe everything, give you your FAQs, take that, put it back into a platform I use called Too Bad Less. You're able to generate a really good semantic flow that gives you a good YouTube experience. And then you now take that into your website. Then when you send it as an email, you're triggering all those things that now has that building because community is affinity. If affinity means consistency and quality, then that means there's a guaranteed result of the system actually being operational in a good way. So I looked at it and I said, okay, let me use this notebook LM because I don't know if people will like it because people are doing AI episodes these days. And in my mind, I was like, I would like an AI episode about an episode that I already did. So I recorded the episode, uploaded the episode to Notebook LM, and then I generated, like Elijah said, I generated the conversation, and now there are two people talking that is not me or her on this episode, which is pretty interesting. And I'll actually play it for you so you can actually hear it just for about a minute. Here we go. If you can hear this, put a thumbs up. If you don't, put a thumbs down because I love to give a good audio experience. It will just this was not planned, but I love experiences like this because I love spontaneous results like this if you plan them ahead as well. Here we go. So okay, so looking to really level up your travel game in 2025, not just where you go, but how you travel. Thank you. Right, like making it a really transformative experience. Yeah, exactly. Well, today's deep dive is going to give you some incredible insider tips. We got to talk with Lola Coker-Oni. Oh, wow. She's a travel concierge working with some seriously high-end clients. Can't see. Think private islands and like knowing prime ministers. But you know what really stood out to us? What's that? Her whole philosophy of travel as a tool for like personal growth and well-being. I love that. It's not just about the destination. It's about how you experience it. Exactly. Yeah. So before we like unpack all her insights, let's start with the basics. What exactly is a travel concierge? Good question. And what makes Lola's approach so unique? Yeah. So think of a travel concierge as your personal travel expert. I'm gonna pause right there. So, Shay, this is not real. This is an AI conversation going on off. It's a spin-off. And I was like, and I communicated and I let the community know. I said, hey, we're about to try something new. I did a bonus episode. I said I'm going to do behind the episodes with AI, and I'm also going to do trailers because I wanted it to be incorporated. That's why I call it We Don't Play, because I don't want to have any like capacity. I want this thing to be to the moon, to Timbuktu and back, because I feel like there's so much leverage on brand, and like you said, brand earlier on sweat equity and brand equity, where you can really get people to listen in and have a conversation. So I did this behind the episode before the actual episode. It's kind of like rolling out the red carpet on the podcast before you actually listen to the person. And people listened to it. I was surprised. I was like, maybe this is something that it should be done. So that's what I did, and it came out really well. And I'm gonna do it again. So I wanted to just show you what I just played right now is the link at the top. Listen to it. Go to the We Don't Play podcast show anywhere you listen to your podcast, and you can find this conversation that we had as well. Even the image that you see, the thumbnail, I use Ideogram AI. If you've never heard of it, check it out. Right now, they're in their third version, 3.0. I've been with them since 1.0 because I'm an alpha beta tester. I can say I'm an alpha tester because I really like being there in the early stages, like early. So then 3.0 right now, Ideogram AI. So it's an open app. Think about Instagram, but AI images, and you can create yours too. So the image you see at the top here, that thumbnail, is coming from Ideogram AI because we're talking about concierge services. And I wanted more of like a cartoon style because I'm also getting into animation, by the way, if you didn't know, but I'm slowly getting into animation this year because not many people talk about Pinterest and SEO with animation. So that's a whole new world. And if you look at YouTube, what are the videos that do the best on YouTube? Kids videos. And kids videos are what? In animation. So if you really look at the goal, it's beyond me. Now I'm competing with the next generation. So I'm really trying to make sure that I'm also not behind of the curve. And the AI is so advanced. Like I'm still way behind. I'm sure there's a lot more I didn't know. The more I know, the more I don't know. So it just makes you want to learn more and just stay connected and also stay relevant to the topic. So That's why this kind of things allow you to think about the demand. Because nobody told me to do an AI episode, but I felt like there's a demand for AI because everyone's doing AI images, AI music. Why can't we do an AI podcast? So it was a little scary because I'm like, I don't want to deter the audience, but sometimes with a high risk comes a high reward. And you just, I mean, don't knock it till you try it. So I would definitely love to hear from anyone. I saw Michael and Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what you were saying about the ideogram. I think it's a really, really powerful tool, by the way. And I've been doing some graphic work with that. It really actually takes you to a whole nother level of creation. But yeah, I wanted to add to that piece. Ideogram, and there's one other particular, well, Gemini is a good one too as well that to do those kind of things in. But yeah, absolutely cool stuff. I like the little podcast AI idea. That was kind of cool, man.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think about that episode? Thank you, Michael, for that response. Hey, Julie.
I thought it was great. And it's funny, I don't know if you talked to Gary E. Hall about that, but he did an episode just like this. I'm like, I knew right away. I'm like, you guys must be talking to each other.
No way. We haven't talked about it. Oh, wow.
Yeah, he did the same audio. How did you do that audio episode?
With Notebook LM.
No book LM.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat. And it's a free app that Google has. It's a free product app, but you also need to be a Plus member as well. But that just means you probably like buying storage. And I'm sure you, if you have like 1 or 2 terabytes and you're buying
Yeah.
storage, then yeah, you definitely just be grandfathered into the program. So that way you can, check Notebook LM and then you upload your audio since you can either upload like a text, but since you have the full audio, it's much better because you have the whole experience. Then you just click generate. Then once you hit generate, it just changes everything for you, and it does it in about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how long the episode is
Wait, it's
too.
called
So
notebook dot
yeah,
what?
it's I just put it in the chat notebooklm.google.com. You'd have to like log in with your Google account, and then from there to now take it to the Notebook LM section.
So some of the stuff you brought up is really interesting, and also like especially like from a use case perspective of just how can you apply a tool like that where like you're talking about rolling out the red carpet, um, and really just the means of like, okay, we're trying to share information with people, demand, like on demand information. And before you're going to have like a podcast where your whole community is invited and you've coordinated, the effort to make sure people are there, that would be a cool way to use a tool like that where, okay, you're starting to get people's attention about like a topic you plan on talking about and things like that. Because that's like in a sense the gap where the way that we approach doing business at least is addressing constraints where like okay we have podcasts when that process of having a podcast what are the different touch points where you could use a tool like notebook llm to get more people to attend your podcast ultimately so that would be a question I'd like to challenge you or anyone else with as far as that journey or process of um, curating a podcast and consistently interacting with your community to make sure they're there and attending what you're doing. I feel like there's a number of different tools or approaches that you can take to do that, but with respect to demand generation and having resources that are available to make that happen, I think that's a framework or perspective to speak from when addressing those constraints.
100%. I agree with that too. Thank you for that insight, Elijah. Yeah, because there's so much you can use this tools for and just figure out so much that it just makes it even a deeper conversation you can have with people. Because when people listen to those episodes, think about that like a trailer. You have it as a trailer, it's AI, it's uninterrupted, and people are listening to it. It's decentralized. people can learn from you, and they're also hearing, the conversation, because that was a real conversation to the point where even she was like, is this thing real? Because it's so real that if you close your eyes and I didn't tell you it was AI, you could have thought it was an actual conversation going on. But I wanted to just let you know so at least you can hear it and see what I'm referring to when you're painting the picture on how you can really do this for yourself. And demand generation is not just podcasts, it could be blogging, but trust me, it's going to be harder to blog your way to success than it is to podcast your way to success. But both of them, you can get to the finish line fast if you have SEO done correctly, because both of them have the same common denominator, which is a link. So if you have a link on a website, that link on a website is actually the translator of your potential traffic and your potential outcome. So when you have those links, it allows you to be much more connected to the source, because people are always going to search on the web for information. If you think about the time we're in right now as we speak, there are about 90% of online searches that go on. 90% of online searches start off with a search engine. 90%. And I talked about this before. The top five for commercial and transactional marketing: one, Amazon; two, Google; three, YouTube; four, Pinterest; five, I could flip that, TikTok, then Pinterest, because Pinterest is always like the low hanging fruit. So if you look at where you are connecting, how you're doing things, it helps. This over the weekend, we had this fitness event, and it's called Ebony Fit Weekend, and it was really, really intense. It was really good. And the person that one of my friends, that her name is Brittany, she mentioned in her story, which was very interesting, because I saw the bag. She has this bag that is like a nice purse, but it's in the shape of a guitar. And she said it. She's like, "Hey, I saw this on Amazon. I saw it on Google, but I bought it on TikTok." She saw it on Google. She saw it on another source platform, but she purchased it on TikTok. Why? Because TikTok is where she spends her time. And there's a TikTok shop. That's why Amazon right now is trying to buy or acquire TikTok. So when you're looking at the game, the plan, the blueprint, the future, the technology we're going into, I'm just telling you things that it's nothing new. It's already out there. I'm just helping you get faster to that connection so that you can see where you are and where you could be if you applied one, two, three steps into the mix. So if 90% of online searches start with a search engine, and I also got to know this earlier too from the person I got to connect with in Switzerland last week, who is also the co-founder of Spreaker, and he told me that himself. I was like, whoa. So it was a really great moment, because he's now the founder of Pod SEO. And he was mentioning that, and if I missed this, I would have missed it completely. He said this, and I want to share this with you. I said this before in another room, and I'll say it again. I won't say this again. He said, when you have a podcast and when people are typing on a podcast in the search bar, especially like go to Apple Podcasts, the first four characters, including spaces, matters, because he was talking about the algorithm. So we did something like TEA. We did TEA space. When you hit that space bar, think about a space bar like a rocket ship. Like it just goes. So in the algorithm, all the words that match that tea, whether it's tea leaves or tea bag or tea brewery company, whatever that follows, that's the semantics of the conversation. So if you now create demand with supported brands that support the same mission and vision, then your blog, your podcast could get way more higher rankings and results, because you're tapping into these specific elements of topics. That's why it's good to hyperlink topics. You can say, hey, read more, or check this out, or index it on Google. Because when you're indexing these content pieces, it changes. You can have thousands of episodes, hundreds of episodes, tens of episodes, but if those episodes are not being seen outside where they're being heard, there's going to be a disconnect. So you have to look at it from this point of going to Apple or going to Spotify, typing in three words, any three words, or three letters rather, and hitting a space bar. That space bar is going to now take it to the next level. So even if you keep typing more than three, you already entered the system, because it only takes 3 seconds for you to make a decision on that keyword that you're actually reading through. So if you're reading through 5 listings and you're reading through them, it's going to take you about 3 seconds or more, depending on how fast you read, to really look from left to right and decide, am I going to click on this link or this link? Or sometimes people click on all links. That's why you have so many tabs open. So that's really a way to now ask yourself, how do we even get to the bottom line of this topic? Because people don't want to go to a rabbit hole and then stay there. They want to get out of the rabbit hole because they found themselves in there in the first place. So creating that demand allows you to now let people know, hey, I have a solution. I'm right here, check me out. And then they'll check you out. They'll be like, oh, that's nice. It's like a relationship. Oh, I didn't know we like the same color. Yeah, we like the same restaurant. Like, I think I heard about Starbucks. I don't, if this is true, this is going to be a game changer. I heard that Starbucks, I was doing some just research and then it popped on my feed that Starbucks apparently are doing free refills. So I'm like, huh? That and it boosted their sales. So people are doing new things now, and you're like, huh? What is going on? So you keep learning. It might be true, it might not be. I don't know if it is. I don't drink Starbucks all the time, but when I saw it from a credible source, I said, huh, this is very interesting to see. So just looking at what companies are doing and translating that to what you could do is a big game changer. Go ahead, Carrie.
Well, see, Starbucks needs people to sell things. You got to get in front of people, right? So I can't sell portraits to air. I have to have people. That's my goal in life is to get in front of people, which proves my fact of why I cracked the code of online dating in 2014. Because, like the girl who bought the guitar on TikTok, I diversified. I used Tinder. I used Match. I used OkCupid. And chapter 13 was a person that I dated. I didn't find him on Tinder. I found him on OkCupid. So he came up in the feed. And so what I did on Tinder back then was I used good images to get people's attention. I used I tricked the like I did everything opposite of what other people were doing. And the words that I used, which were key search words, actually, now looking back, kind of hooked people in. So I was a good marketer and I knew branding and marketing, but I didn't understand that Tinder was like Pinterest and OkCupid was like YouTube. Like I didn't get it because I didn't have the information, but I just knew that I had to get in front of people and I had to create a buzz and I had to do things differently. And it really worked and I learned a lot. So, and I did find love. So that's all.
Wow, you got me thinking 1,000 directions. And Mo, what are you thinking? This is dope.
I mean, it's half-ass brilliant, right? To look at the dating apps like you would do your marketing as far as Pinterest or whatever. So, for example, with me, my success came from being different. Like, I mean, these women tell me like I'm smiling in my pictures. Most dudes don't smile. I'm like, say what? Are you serious? And then the stuff that I laid out that I wanted, I approached it like a business, right? I wanted to be specific of what I was looking for, so I didn't waste time with the people who were unqualified, right? I wanted to make sure that, hey, I want a social drinker. I don't want a smoker, right? I'm not necessarily into young kids because all my kids are adults. Right? I'm 55. I'm not trying to, you know, raise somebody else's kids. I want to, raise my grandkids, right? I hope with that. But that that is that is a dynamic thing. But I never thought about the keywords in the search. So that was brilliant right there. Thank you, Jerry.
See, Mo, you'd be a good guest on my show because you're taking it away from them. So that's sales 101. So so when you have value and you're not selling to everybody, because that's what I did. I'm like, hey, I'm a busy person with a child and a business to run. I'm not, I'm not wasting time here. And so I became very, very selective, even though I had like, even though I was at home crying in my coffee. But that's sales, and I understood sales. And I think you got to get a good game online, and how you present is. your result, really.
I love that. John, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry, I just muted. I was getting some lunch. Came off by accident.
Oh, no worries. No worries. Carrie, great point there. And thank you, Mo, as well, for highlighting that too. Cause yeah, I've honestly to this day, now I'm like today's years old. I've never thought of dating apps like social media apps the way you said it, because it makes a lot of sense. People are jumping from app to app every day, the same way they're jumping from dating app to app every day. So the dating apps, even travel apps, same thing. I'm just thinking about like a conglomerate of apps that focus on a specific thing that people hop in between to get one thing done. Like today, I just got to realize that I don't know if you guys, I love flying, I love traveling, so I really take traveling seriously. And if you've never heard of a platform called, I don't know why I'm even saying this, but I think it would be good for you to check it out. There's a platform called eDreams. Never heard of it? Check it out. eDreams.net. Really great. And they have a Prime, which I got put into. I don't know how it's happened. I can't remember how it's happened, but now you can literally save like hundreds of dollars on your flights all year. I think it's about 169 a year. And you have flights and just hotels, car rentals, all this great stuff. You can actually check them out. So if a flight is, let's say, $100, you could get it for 60, 50, 70, depending on where you're going, and really good flights because the price is like flights are variable costs. That's why it's good to buy tickets on a on a Tuesday and not on a Sunday, because a Sunday is when everyone's trying to go back. If you buy a ticket on a Sunday, even if you buy it at the airport, it's still going to be expensive compared to when you buy it on a Tuesday night, at the airport or on a platform like eDream. So I'm just telling you these things because when you hear these conversations happening, yes, it may be unrelated, but demand is people like to travel, people like food, people like things, so it's not just SEO, because the last thing I want to do is drain SEO down your minds, because I want it to be something that you actually enjoy to listen to, not that it's something that you're forcefully trying to understand, but you're actually relating because it matches what you're doing. And that's how the conversation goes. If this was a one-way conversation, I don't think it would be this many in the room, because we want to actually have something of substance to give people. So I like to drop a little few nuggets in between so that if you hear these things, it's like what do you call a treasure hunt, where you can just find things in between your pathway to success. This is something that I like to do just because I know when I hear these things, I like to give them because it was freely given to me. I freely give back. So that's how I'm able to do it. What's up, Carrie?
So I like this that you're starting to understand that dating apps are just like a podcast. Okay, so podcast is, like Brian said earlier, is marketing at its finest. Well, so is an online dating. And it's your personal brand that you're putting out there, which means you need to invest in your photographs. You need to pay attention to the text banter because that's the interview. So if you look at a podcast compared to dating apps, you're going to have some amazing interviews and you're going to have some that you're like, okay, that person was not, I mean, I'll put the content up, but it wasn't the best award winning episode. So that's where people get screwed up with online dating is they attach their life mission to it. It's like you have to just look at it for what it is. It's a tool to get you in front of people. And you're running your online business there. So yeah, I think it's really cool that you're now connecting the dots between the two. I love that.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie. Great insight. It's really important to look at these things with a different perspective because it also creates a new intention, altogether. How do you create that relationship? How do you build it? Where do you build it from? Why is it even being built in the first place? And then that allows you to spread your wings further out. So when you look at your podcast episodes, when you look at your blogs, when you look at your books, when you look at the properties that you own that are intellectually asset friendly and scalable friendly, then you can use these specific ways of communication to help more people understand what you're trying to say without forcing it down or trying to tell them the same thing in a different format. Because if you send someone a podcast episode about something that you've done, like in form of a review or in form of a case study or in form of something that is valuable to that person's need, then you're like, oh yeah, okay, if you could do it for this person, you could do it for me. It's like, oh, okay, you fixed my TV. I'll tell you the next person you want to mount a TV. Okay, you did this plumbing job. The next thing happens where I refer you to somebody else. It's the same thing because it's just a different house. It's just a different place. It's just a different situation, but it's the same concept. It's the same discipline. So if you're doing that consistently, eventually the demand will come. Like demand doesn't show up if supply was not enough in the first place. Because for that supply to be enough, it means there has to be consistency in the giving. Sometimes you may not even get a dollar or a cent from podcasting for 5 years. It's very possible. But the day you strike oil, the day you strike gold, you'll be so happy that you stayed consistent because the goal should not be the money. The goal should be the impact you're giving people. Like life should be changed. People should feel like I listened to that episode and I learned something and I gained something that actually saved me time and money, especially in our economy today. You want to think ahead, think for them. Like sometimes when you do it that way, it just makes sense and everybody loves that because they feel like they're part of something and they can listen in and feel like, yeah, maybe I'm not ready for this now, but eventually when I am, I know where to go. Like imagine you're ready to get something and you don't know where to go. Now you have to start from scratch as opposed to knowing exactly what you want. And then when you're ready to, set it off, you're ready to go because there's no time wasting and there's no energy draining. So there are things that you can do consistently to keep people going. And it's just a matter of time that people will get to learn more about your business and grow over time. So demand generation is something you can do. If you want to know how to get demand generation, create blogs, create podcasts, create videos that go to your website, create images with AI. Now, if you want to do that, create animation, create demand, create a place where people can feel like, I need this. I actually want this. And then that demand just builds into time. And then you get to see, oh, people like this, they like that. If they like your product, they like your product because it's something you stand for. It's something that you're known for. So if you're known for something, you stand for something, then the right people that stand and know the thing that you stand and know will stand with you when those things come about because you're able to really create a connection with the person that you're talking to. You're not talking at them, you're talking with them because it's inclusive. It's not seclusive. So if you're secluding somebody from a conversation, that means they're not ready. It's like turning your back on somebody as opposed to talking to them in person in front of you. So when you create that intention, it starts off from the root, which is creating that attention retention model and then having the demand which will lead to the generation of the leads. Because we all want leads, great. But if those leads don't come from a demand, then what value is that lead? Because if somebody signs up today because they want to get this thing done, then that's because they are in demand of that thing. So when they're giving it to you in exchange of you getting it back, then what's the measure you gave so that when you get it back, you're able to really understand the value you gave? It starts off with the giving. So demand generation allows you to make somebody aware of a problem, like doctors. I can say that's you can be aware of a problem like that because you go in, oh, my tooth hurts, oh, this is what's going on. You're aware of the problem. Now you actually increase that brand authority because you trust that person now with your teeth because they're giving you free information that you didn't pay for, that you just came in to get a checkup or you just came in to get information, but it didn't cost you anything. Maybe it cost you to drive or it cost you to wake up or cost you to do something, but it didn't cost you dearly to the point where it's detrimental. So you got to learn something for free because you asked a question and now you've engaged a wide audience because the same people that are looking for this solution are within your affinity. So when you now create that demand, then you offer the problem solution method where you're now giving somebody the solution to the problem they came for. Then when you present it over to them and you're focusing on connecting with them, then that's how you capture those leads. So let me say it this way, right? And if you've not had anything this whole hour and we're about to wrap up, is this. You can't get a lead if you can't create demand. You can't get a lead if you can't create demand. So if you think about demand, demand demands a lead, and that lead leads to the conversion or the conversation. So if you're not leading the conversation with the demand on or on demand, however you want to say it, then that demand will not turn into a lead because you can get someone's email, but is that the primary contact or is that the secondary contact? That should be a question you can answer, but how you conduct it is how you're able to really get the metric. So that's how you're able to build on that. John, would love to hear your thoughts on that too, especially for podcasting and demand and leads.
And that's something that a lot of people they don't like hearing from me about it. So they focus so much on I need to find who my customer is, and they forget about creating demand of who their consumer is. And your customer will be in that consumer list. If you focus on getting your customer only, there's a really good chance you're going to strike out and miss them. You're not going to get them. If you focus on creating demand of who your consumer is, you're going to grow a lot faster. And people say that all the time. They're like, this goes contrary to what I hear. Well, go ahead and spend that $39.95 on that book from the guy who tells you something that doesn't work. That's all I got to tell you.
Thank you, John.
I
Hey,
love
Julie.
that. You guys are so smart. And that's why I love hanging out with you guys. I've been thinking about what you said because I've never really thought of it this way, Faye. And I love what John just said. Is it okay I just jumped in? Am I
Go ahead.
interrupting
Go
you, Faye?
ahead.
Um, doesn't it have to be a little bit of both? Like you do have to work both sides in terms of demand generation and lead generation. I'm not, I can see both sides, but I agree with what John just said. You have to be somebody or provide something to have people actually want to work with you instead of just if you're just looking for leads and you have no substance behind it, like why would I work with
And
you?
here's my answer to that, Julie. So, using a podcast example, I'm not going to sell you anything until you start listening to my podcast. I'm not going to sell you anything until you start listening to my podcast. So I'm going to focus on finding who my consumer is first, my customer. I'm already putting I'm doing the window dressing, the window shades before the house is even built. So the podcast itself is a tool for people to consume and then take action from. Same as videos and other things. If I focus on too much on who my ideal customer is, it's going to be lead, it's going to be someone who buys from me. I'm just missing out on vast numbers of potential customers.
It's so true.
Yep.
Go ahead, Julie.
I just wanted to give John the 10-4 loud and clear.
Love that. Love that. Thank you for that feedback. Yes, I would say that too. When you look at demand and leads, and I'll give you one more analogy for today's topic, so that you can rewind and re-listen to this. When you look at the well and water, you see two things. When you look at the well, right? A well is where you want to get water. You want to draw water from a well. So if you see a well, let's say zero point 0.1 miles away, or let's do 0.2 miles away, and you see that well, it's a little far, but you can see it. Like it's a little dot, but you can see it. You know that there's something on that other side. There's a demand. So I'm going to be walking towards that well, not knowing whether there's water or not, because I can see it. So the demand is I can see this well and I'm walking to the well because I know by the time I get to that well, my demand will be satisfied because I'm looking for that specific thing. The water is the lead. When you think about generation, the water is the lead because what's going to keep me staying next to that well is the kind of water it has. Is that water spring water? Is it alkaline water? Is it name it, brand water, fill in the brand, fill in the gap, fill in the name. That could be the type of water. So now if you say, okay, this well has this type of water, for me to be a consumer, I have to taste it first. When I taste it and I like it, then I can subscribe to it because now I'm leaving my contact or I'm leaving myself as a consumer as to part of your market share when you look at the total addressable market. So think about the water as that exchange, and that water is your email list. It's your consumer list. It's where people connect with you. It's where people leave their contact information with you, where they want to stay connected with you. That's where it all starts from. So if the water is your email list in your CRM and the well is the website, then somebody will find you online when they're looking for something that they're looking for specifically, just because you led them to the well through showing up online in form of a text that they wrote in the search box. So that creates that intention, and that way you're able to now attract more people. Because if I'm thinking about 1,000 people writing this search on a daily basis, and I give them information about this topic, then these people are the ones that most likely will click on this because they know more about the information that they were trying to solve. So creating that intention is very important, and just using that as a mix is great. Don't be on social media just posting. Be on social media, but lead them to a place. Like you can't just blindly create an article and just say, "Hey, thanks for watching, thanks for reading, thanks for listening." Tell them where to go next. Tell them, "Hey, if you like this, listen to episode 53, episode 60, and episode 75, and you check out more information, or read this blog on this, or this, or this." That way, they're like, "Huh, there's more? Okay, let me go and get more." Because now they're staying in. Now they feel like they're being fed. Because you can't get full of one bite. You can't get full of one swallow. You have to get filled up because you're filling the space. So that's how you have to think about podcasting, book, blogging, anything that is going to be content driven to get that demand. In exchange of that demand, you need to have a how do I call, you have to have a consistent substance of material that allows someone to leave their contact information with you either through a digital business card or just social media connections, or even better, having an email list that they can opt into, or a community they can opt into. That way, when you have their contacts, then the day you blast an email or send something to them, they'll remember you. Because marketing is not just, oh, we're going to make sales today. Marketing is, we're consistently doing this to the point where when the time is right for the right person to look for this product, they're not going to look hard or look to, scramble through the list, because it was right there at the appointed time. And because you showed up for them, they'll show up for you. Just like I heard this saying a long time ago, if you, the way you, let me say it this way, I want to say it in a really one line sentence. If you take care of your car will take care of you. Go ahead, Carrie.
No, what I was going to say is like, you have to keep pumping the well. So you talked about the well analogy, and John's like, he's writing 4 newsbreak articles right now. Like, content is key, or king, I should say. And I remember when I first published my book, I was literally like hanging in the ring like Rocky Balboa after being like beaten to death. It was so hard. And my daughter looked at me and she said, "Mom, now you got to write the second book." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're a savage. I can't." But it's kind of true. She's smart. She's like, "You got to produce again. You got to produce again." And it's hard, but there's a lot of truth to it.
That is so true. Yeah, I love what you said, Carrie. You got to keep pumping the well. If not, then you can't draw it out. It definitely makes a lot of sense. Wow. Thank you so much. This has been great. I feel like this spontaneous room was definitely meant to be. I have some topics that I'll be bringing to you this week. One of them is going to be HTTP versus HTTPS. It's going to be a little technical, but we're going to dive in there because we need to fix those error messages. That's one. There's another one is how to monetize your podcast, but I'll use the word monetize your podcast. And these are words that I'm getting from the podcast itself. It's not like I'm just looking for topics. I'm actually getting topics that are already being talked about, that are on demand, context of the topic for today, that people are looking for. So from here, we can segue into that other place, and then people can listen. You can listen. I can, connect with you, and then we make it a better place. So that way we can have more intention. And then There's a room, John, you talked about, I think it was last week, about, the links and making sure your actual links and backlinks are very strong, and knowing the sources and knowing the differences between the sources. We're going to cover that too. So it's going to be a great week. And I wanted to kick off this week with a great topic like this. So I'm glad you guys were here. It's 12:12 now. And I hope you have a great Monday. Thank you, John, Carrie, Julie, Michael, Debbie, Jason, Mr. Chris, Kemi, Billy, Julia, Gaurav, Beston, Eddie, Debbie, Verstappen, Dreamer, and I can't say I don't know what language, Makoto. I see it. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Anyone likes to say anything before we go on stage? And I also see that in the chat. You're welcome, Debbie. Appreciate you for being here. Michael, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you for really for the space, and thank you for everybody that was sharing, your insights. I I really am glad to be here because um, I've been really building that kind of consensus around my hat, and um, and I've been doing exactly what you guys have been talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's because I'm selling something that's really interesting and different, and um, I think I've been doing it in the right direction based on the conversation here today. So I really appreciate everybody's insights. I really do.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm glad I'm here to help you gain some knowledge, try something new, and just be in that exploring stage, because there's so much to explore out there. It's exciting to see these things happen because it's happening in real time. And after this, I'm just going to rest my voice, excuse me, so that I can recover. But I also know that, things have to be done. You can't just sit back and watch things happen. You have to let things happen by doing things first. So I really appreciate the room, and I'm glad that you are here to listen and also learn something new. If you've never heard of demand generation, it is a real thing. It's just that people don't talk about it as much because they always talk about leads, but there's always a story before the story, so you have to know what the backstory is to understand the full story. So I hope this helped you, and I hope you're able to understand more about how you can do this for yourself. If you need more information like this, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can search my name, Favour Obasi-ike, with a dash, a hyphen on the two eyes, or you could just go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com or Work and Play Entertainment, or if you're here in the room and you're listening in, click the link at the top. Let's get on a 20-minute call, talk about what you need, answer the question specifically, because the last thing I want to do is waste your time. I want to give you quality that you can use beyond now and use it for your business so that when you're now making decisions, from an executive standpoint, you're able to know what's really the catch and what really is your goal as a business to really connect to the people that you care about and you're doing things for. Because we're all doing these things to solve a problem, to save a life, to be part of a connection, and to be part of something bigger than us. Because what we're doing right now is just a little speck in the ocean compared to what we can actually see of the impact when we come alive, in the future. So appreciate you all. And for those who are here, Eddie, thanks for being here. And Richard, too, I see you best in too. If you have a ticket, please cash in your pink ticket and join us so that you don't miss out on rooms like this. And you definitely have information that can help you. If you want to go back to replays, please go ahead and listen to them. But until then, I look forward to connecting with you. Thanks for being here today. God bless you all. Have a great Monday and have a great week ahead. Happy April for those that didn't hear this when I had the room earlier on this past week. God bless you all. Take care. Bye for now.